Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. Happy Friday. My name is Craig Hickman. I represent Senate District 14, 11 towns in Southern Kennebec County, including my hometown of Winthrop. Today, we have a rather swift agenda, or maybe not. We'll see. We have one bill to work, LD 1980, and then we will do language review on our supplemental budget report back and any other language reviews that are ready for us to do today. So before we begin our work, we'll start with committee introductions, beginning on my screen with Representative Supika.
Good morning, I'm Representative Laura Supika, and I represent District 126, which is a portion of Bangor.
Senator Farron.
Good morning, folks. My name is Brad Farron, coming to you live from the frozen banks of the Kennebec River in Norridgewock, and I have the honor to represent the majority of Somerset County in the Maine State Senate.
Senator Miramont.
Oh, good morning, all. Dave Miramont, representing Senate District 12, which is Knox County, except for the town of Washington. I have to always remind everyone. Thanks.
Representative McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Jay McCray, representing Harpswell, West Bath, and Northeast Brunswick, and the pond by my house is melting, Senator Farron. We're watching for ice out.
Representative Kinney.
Good morning, I'm Mary Ann Kinney. I represent House District 99, towns of Brooks, Burnham, Freedom, Jackson, Knox, Monroe, Thorndike, Troy, and Unity. And the sap is flowing very well. We're making lots of maple syrup, so things are thawing out.
Representative Riley.
I'm Representative Riley. I represent House District 34, which is part of Westbrook.
And Chairman Chiazzo.
Good morning, folks. Chris Chiazzo, House District 28, where mud season is in full swing.
We also have with us today our analyst, Sam Prower, our committee clerk, Darlene Semino, and welcome Representative Wood. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm Barb Wood, and I represent House District 38, which is the western end of the peninsula in Portland.
And we also have our other amazing analyst, Janet Stocco, who will be helping us out with some of our work after we begin and finish our work session on LD 1980. And so with that, I will open the work session on LD 1980 and act to establish a small nonprofit RAPO operator license or something like that. I don't have it in front of me. My screen went blank. Presented by President Jackson of Aroostook. I'm going to promote lots of people into our panel so we can just have a discussion on this amendment. And Sam has got it. I believe it's been sent to the committee, and Representative McCray has already told me she has a lot of questions. So I'm going to first allow Sam to share his screen and simply talk through the amendment that was written by David Trahan, and we'll go from there. Sam?
All right, let me pull my screen up. And Senator Hickman, I'm not sure if you prefer to maybe walk through the elements, or if you want me to. I'm gonna,
you know what I'm gonna do, Sam? I'm gonna ask Mr. Trahan to walk through as soon as he gets here, because he drafted it. And okay, Mr. Trahan, are you here?
I am.
Everyone's on the way. There we go. So welcome, good morning. Please introduce yourself and walk us through this amendment that is on our screen, please.
Sure, my name is David Trahan. I'm the Executive Director of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine Institute for Legislative Action. Honorable Senator Hickman, Representative, oh God, I have this fear of saying your name because I know I'm going to say it wrong. Chiazzo?
Excellent, sir. Don't worry. You can't get it wrong these days. Don't worry.
Well, someday off the record, I'll tell you all the different names that I've been called with my last name. Anyway, thank you to the committee members for giving me an opportunity to try to put an amendment together that maybe incorporates some of the gambling folks' concerns as well as ours. And so basically what I did, I also had discussions with the Maine Credit Union League, Ellen Parent, who I learned are doing some wonderful things with food pantries. as a nonprofit. They have sort of a maze to run through to hold raffles for the folks that they support. So with that, I'll run down through the amendment. First of all, I heard that the first component of the original bill was too cumbersome with the different levels for nonprofits. So I got rid of that altogether. I left it blank because there was some talk about just one fee. And I think that should be a committee's decision on any fee to register. So I left that piece blank. So I think you should go back, if you support this amendment, and plug in a fee structure. The next section really was just from the original proposal. I changed because of discussions with, hold on just a second. I want to make sure that I take care of that phone. Based on discussions with the committee, I think it was very difficult to understand charitable raffles versus for-profit gambling. And because this proposed statute was in the gambling statutes, it was incredibly difficult and confusing for people. So instead I said, let's just write a statute that addresses these charitable nonprofit raffles and call them that. And so that's what I did. I struck the small nonprofit raffle component and replaced it what I believe is a more accurate description of what these raffles are. So with that, if you want to get down through a little bit further. All right, at this point, I was asked to try to further define what a charitable nonprofit corporation, or a definition for it. Those definitions already exist, so I think it was pretty easy once you identified it as charitable nonprofit for the OPLA staff to define that, a nonprofit for charitable purposes. So that's why I stuck that in there. May need some further reference, but I'm not sure of that. Further, I replaced, again, the charitable nonprofit. I tried to incorporate throughout this what I believed were the good components of the original bill and the good components of what the Gambling Commission proposed. So I did add in a lot of their language. So basically what I did was I blended the two amendments, what I believed were the positive nature of each one. And again, you can see as you go down through here that you have to be a nonprofit, you have to register. I incorporated all the components of the payment system and the statutory changes the department wanted, and there at the end. I eliminated the credit card component to make it simpler. Under the department's payment system, they did a pretty good series of recommendations, which I incorporated into the amendment. And then you can see those all underlined and in yellow. And then toward the end of this, there was an interest in a geolocator type requirement. I left that in there. So anyone that is allowed to conduct these raffles would have to work to have a locator so that the person is physically in the state when they purchase a raffle ticket. So basically what is in front of you is what I thought was the best of both amendments, and then something that would make it clearer for the committee. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Trahan. And Sam, if you could stop, please, sharing your screen so I can see. Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Representative McCreight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Trahan. I appreciate the rework. I like taking credit cards out, for example, and I like the geolocator. I appreciate what you said about fee structure too, because I think there does need to be something. So I was confused about why it was gone. So we can talk about that. My question about, a couple questions about the title as it means what it means. I'm concerned about taking out small, and I just like to hear about that. And the other is the use of the word charitable, because I don't know the answer to this, but for example, when say the American Cancer Society is talking about legislation, they have a separate arm that's their advocacy part. Would this require an organization to have what makes them charitable, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
I think I made that
yeah,
more confusing, but that's my question.
And maybe Milt can help me with this from the department, but that's defined already in statute, the people that qualify for these types of raffles. As far as the small, I have no problem with leaving that in there because that was always the intent. I just felt it was a word that could go to make it simpler, but I don't have any problem restoring small to this amendment. That's always what the intentions were. And also in the future, it gives if you leave it in, gives some direction to future committees what the intent was of this committee. It was not to make this broad and allow, huge entities to come in and kind of gobble up the market. So I'm fine with that. I think the charitable component, though, is pretty well defined in both state and federal law.
Okay, thank you. Can I just follow up, Mr. Chair?
You may proceed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree. I think small is, to me, that's important because the whole idea is to make this possible for small groups who need the assistance. So I'm good with that if that's still in there. Thank you.
That's fine.
Chair recognizes Representative Chiazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to piggyback a little bit on Representative McCright's comments. So I think if we put small in and we leave it in, we need to define what that is because that definition's been taken out. So whether we're going to define it as income revenue based for the year or some definition, we have to coalesce around so that we can identify that, I think. Next thing I think is probably a question for Sam, I guess.
Yeah.
So charitable nonprofit, that definition of charitable nonprofit corporation, my concern is, do we know the structure of, let's say, I think Representative McCright mentioned the American Cancer Society, or I don't know how the Shriners set up their structure. So does that mean that if the organization pays a stipend or pays something to their members that they cannot qualify as a non-charitable nonprofit? I guess I'm wondering where that definition came from and if it's a standard one that we're using.
I am not sure when it comes to particular nonprofits, how they're structured. And looking at this amendment, there may need to be some more clarification about exactly what is meant by charitable nonprofit. I believe the proposed amendment cross-references Title 13B, which is the title about nonprofit corporations in the state, but I definitely need to do more research to make sure you're accurately capturing the correct group of people.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes. Go ahead, Mr. Train.
Yeah, I was just going to add that every nonprofit that I know of does their raffles a little differently, and that has caused some problems because people weren't really sure if they were following the rules. They were just sort of trying to conduct this type of raffle. If this committee at least establishes a structure by which a person can honestly, get not certified or get their permit or license to participate in these types of raffles, they may have to change the way that they do their work to comply with the new statute. So I think this is incredibly important to at least get started so that there'll be a structure in place that people can change their own systems to comply, because I think they want to abide by the law. And that's really the value of this statute.
Chair recognizes Representative Kinney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, my concern does come around if we're leaving small, what the definition really of small would end up being. And I have a lot of concerns also when we passed this language, the statute last year, to put in that they had to have the operator license, and it was around, I believe it.
Are you done here or no? I'm asking to hold off.
The Shriners and some of these others that are concerned with that fee. I guess I'm still concerned with eliminating the structure coming back out, but some of my concerns on this, and I I guess if we're going to put in small charitable, we do need to have some kind of a definition.
So does anyone have any ideas about addressing your concerns? This is a work session, and so people have to jump in and say what it is we want to do. How do we want to define small if we put it back in the statute? And what fee do we want? The $500 fee is right now in statute. If we want to reduce that for the small nonprofit, then we can reduce it maybe to half of that and add a provision that defines the charitable organizations that can take part in this particular. I'm going to go to the departments. Chair recognizes Director Champion. Then I'll come back to Senator Farron. You're on mute, Director.
Good morning. I've only had one cup of coffee, so it takes me a little while to get going. Okay, so I just got this amendment, and I apologize that I wasn't able to meet with Mr. Trahan beforehand, but we've been working on rulemaking, some major rulemaking, and of course we have that sports wagering bill that's been being worked through judiciary. So a lot of my time has been, in that direction. I will say this: first of all, the $500 that you might be referring to, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that that's the internet raffle operator license requirement, and is not really related to the fee. It's my understanding that our fees are for raffles $60 a month or $15 a week. So that's the fee for any eligible organization. And so just looking at this like 5 minutes before the meeting started, I would defer or refer to in definition what an actual internet raffle is. And currently in our definitions, an internet raffle means a raffle in which a person purchases a raffle chance or ticket through a mobile application or other digital platform that involves at least in part the use of the internet. So I think we have a clear understanding of what an internet raffle is. Now, separate from that, we do have what we worked on last year, and that was a full internet raffle purchase, random number generator, certified platform, everything. That's for somebody to actually do it for the organizations, because obviously the organizations don't have the servers and the platforms and all that stuff to do these completely on the internet. Okay. Aside from that, and leading up to this bill here today, aside from that, we could do it old school, where you sell the ticket in person, you put a portion of the ticket in the container, they draw the winner from the container. This particular bill here is just enabling us to use another platform whereby the person can use that payment management system in order to purchase, but the winner is still pulled from a container. Okay. So, and looking at the amendment that was given to me just moments before the meeting here, I don't know that we need to get into describing separate charitable raffle operators. I think that's clearly defined, and we've had it for decades. What eligible organizations are eligible to have a raffle? We have the levels, right? We have up to 2,500, eligible organizations up to 10, up to 75,000. We have all that's done, and has been that way for a long time. So I'm not really sure that we really have to get into separately identifying. And when you talk about small and charitable, i.e. both being the same, I would say, is the Shriners a small charitable organization? I would think they're pretty big, right? Is Sports Alliance a small organization? No, I would think they're pretty big. So and I know we had those separate levels, and that would create a lot of work on my staff to define, each year, audit them each year, that, this is what they say they are, and these are the levels they fall under, to describe who's the small and why not just say, what, this is the way it's been forever. As long as you're an eligible organization, you could do it one of three different ways. Bump, 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 right? There's the three ways. So I'm not sure in fact, when, with the last session, honestly, when we left the last session, I thought the only really position that needed to be decided on was whether or not somebody outside of the state of Maine could purchase a raffle ticket. That's, and the only portion that I thought we had in there for that was if a member of the organization was not living in Maine, they could purchase a raffle through the membership, through the way that they renew their membership. So that's kind of where I'm at this point, and I hope it wasn't too much.
So Director, just to thank you for all of that input. If you are suggesting that we need to clarify in this amendment that a member of the organization who is not residing in the state can also partake in some form of an internet raffle, we can do that. Is that what you are suggesting?
Well, it was the request from Mr. Trahan that the members that he has some members that are outside of Maine. In other words, I guess they come in to do whatever activity, sports activity, but their members are outside of Maine. As this was written with the last amendment, it said that no one outside of the state could participate, and he was just asking for a way that
rule.
That is, yeah, that's currently under games of chance fees. It's scrolling. All right, it's conduct. Getting to the fees here. That's card games, okay. Okay, so operation of games of chance. To operate a game of chance is $15 for each week, computed on a Monday to Sunday basis, or for a portion of the week, $60 for a calendar month or $700 for a calendar year. The Gambling Control Unit may issue any combination of weekly or monthly licenses for the operations of games of chance. Registrations to conduct any games of chance may be issued for a period of up to 12 months for one application.
Okay. So it looks like in this particular, what you're calling half and half, we would have to make sure we clarify in statute that for this new provision of law, these fees would apply, but that people would be able to use the payment systems as are described in the amendment before us. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I will now turn to Sam, who I know is taking this all in and trying to figure out how to clarify something that the statute actually makes really confusing. Go ahead, Sam.
Thanks, Senator Hickman. I really I have my hand raised because I wanted to point out two things. One, which Director Champion already pointed out, but I just wanted to put a finer point on. And but before I get there, I just want to make clear for the committee. So the federal law regarding location of purchase, like where you may purchase a raffle ticket from outside the state, it's about where the person is located, not where the person resides. So the requirement that if I'm purchasing from a state that has to also have, the raffle law actually has to be legal in their state as well. It's not that I reside in Maine that's important. It's that I'm the place I am purchasing from also allows the internet raffle law. So I just wanted to make that clear for the committee, and that's why the geolocation part becomes important. And then the other thing I wanted to do is I did just want to pull up the definition of eligible organization that we currently have in statute. And I had it up and I just lost it. So just give me a moment here.
1832.
Thank you. And that's right there. And so you can see it's 1832 subsection 2. And This is our current definition of eligible organization in statute. And you can see in particular in the paragraphs here, it applies to an agricultural society, a bona fide nonprofit, charitable, educational, political, civic, recreational, fraternal, patriotic, or religious organization, a volunteer fire department, or an auxiliary of any of the organizations in paragraphs A to C. So I bring this up just so the community can see if this is still the kind of universe of organizations you want to include, and you're just trying to think about like a certain size of these organizations, it's probably easiest and most clear to stick with this definition. And to the extent you want to, you're looking at something narrower or wider, we can take it from there. But I just wanted to remind the committee of this definition in statute.
Thank you, Sam. I'm the more that we're having this discussion, the size of the organization doesn't really matter to me. It's the level of raffle prizes, participants, that seems to be what we're talking about. And the rest of the committee and the interested parties can correct me if I'm wrong. The chair recognizes Representative Chiazzo. I've also promoted to the panel Ellen Parent, who helped write the amendment in front of us, who had their hand raised earlier. And so I will also call on Ellen Parent to discuss this amendment as well. But right now, Representative Chiazzo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You beat me to the punch, I think. It sounds like we have a lot of it really already defined in terms of the definition of what an authorized entity is. I think if we're interested in focusing on that small piece that I think Representative McCreight was interested in, and I'm interested as well, we can look at the prize money award and use that as a basis. But of course, I don't know what that would do to the interested party. So I'm kind of coalescing around that idea if we're going to get something out through. But certainly want to hear from Mr. Trahans, whose image has changed, but his name remains the same, and other interested parties to see what their thoughts are as well.
I also have promoted James Bass, who wrote a different amendment based upon the department's amendment. And I think that what we're going to have to do is decide in pretty broad strokes what we want this amendment to do. And then we can work with Sam to make sure that all the cross references in the bill is drafted correctly, so that the intent of this bill, which is now becoming crystal clear to me, it wasn't until this morning, we can make sure that the law reflects the intent of the bill. So Ellen Parent, I'm going to go to you next because I know your hand was up earlier before I promoted you, and then I will recognize Representative McBride.
Thank you.
Good morning. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Ellen Parent, and I am with the Maine Credit Union League. We also have a registered charitable organization, Campaign for Ending Hunger, that our credit unions are all auxiliaries of, and they use this to raise money for food banks and soup kitchens all across the state in their various areas. So one of the reasons that we just wanted to pipe in here is our credit unions are often confused by some of the raffle statutes. I think it's because a lot of people don't consider raffles. They don't think of it as gambling. Well, it is, but it's not it doesn't come to mind when people are thinking of gambling. And when it comes to, there's just one thing that I think this makes perfect sense, that we really do want a hybrid situation where you can incorporate, you can use an online method of payment, but to hold a traditional raffle. And that's really what we're looking for. It has become more difficult for us when people aren't coming into our branches to sell raffle tickets, things like that. And so we're just looking for an opportunity for us to sell raffle tickets, but still have a traditional raffle. We're not really interested in, we will if we have to, but a big online partnership with one of these companies. outside of the state. Most of our raffles are quite small in nature. We have, almost all of them are under the $2,500 limit. And I will say we do have one issue that we were made aware of, where people, members of our credit unions were requesting that the credit union transfer an amount of money from their account or requesting that amount be moved into a fund to purchase a raffle ticket. And because the notification was happening online, there were some problems with that. So we would like to see if there was some way we could have sort of an internal transfer be permitted. And I'm sure Commissioner Champion has some opinions, so I'd love to hear what he thinks of that proposal as well.
And Ellen Perrin, you wrote that into your amendment, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And when you saw the eligible organizations that are currently in statute, you fall within those categories, is that correct?
We do, because our credit unions are auxiliaries of the Ending Hunger campaign for ending hunger. In addition, because the raffles are small, they mostly fall under that.
Yeah. So when we're talking about size, we're not talking about the organization, we're talking about the raffle itself. So even in the bill, it referred back to those levels that are already in statute. And that's how we were determining that they were small raffles, not small organizations doing the raffles. And I think
that is my understanding.
That's where I got confused. And now that's very clear for me. With that, the chair recognizes Representative McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Parent. That does help a whole lot, because I'm trying to figure out what's different in what we're talking about than what we already have.
Right.
And I think that I'm not crystal yet, but I think I'm getting there. And what Ms. Parent described was helpful. I also like the old school. I think that's what we're talking about. That's what I was assuming we were talking about, because I guess my other question is, a lot of this is already possible. We're looking at doing something a little different, and I'm still struggling with what the different is. So I'm supporting the different. I'm still a little fuzzy on what it is.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily as confused as I was, Representative McCray, but it sounds like you've got the full-on internet raffle operator license, which is $500. You've got manual, which is described in statute as different levels of prizes. And then this bill, the purpose, and I'll use Director Champion's language, seeks to create a hybrid for the old school manual raffle that in the age of COVID isn't really happening as much as it used to be. So organizations aren't able to get the participation that they've gotten in the past. And so we want to be able to provide an opportunity for people to purchase raffle tickets through some online mechanism. So they're not full on internet raffle operators, but they are able to access the internet for payments to come into the system so that their small raffles can still be robust. Is that the intent of this bill? I see a lot of people doing this. Representative McCray.
Before you move on, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, that was really helpful. And I still do like the word small, but I understand what you were describing. It's still a small raffle.
Correct.
And if that word is helpful, it's helpful to me. I don't know where we'll end up, but a question maybe to the director, as Ms. Parent was describing the internet piece, this would also allow you to make people aware of the raffle online, I assume? Is there any problem with that?
Director Champion, you may respond.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten so much into the marketing or advertising portion of it. In fact, I don't even know if we have it all, except that in rule, there may be some, I think I did add something in rules to make sure that, you know, certain things like wasn't a guarantee of winning and all that sort of thing. So we do have a caveat cut in rules.
Thank you, Director. And can you also respond to Ellen Parent's question about allowing for a transfer within the system to go to the fund so that people can purchase raffle tickets?
Yeah, that would, in my view, that would be a policy call. So that would be up to the committee. Again, and it seems like we're really hitting the nail on the head now. I think the only thing, honestly, that we need to add in to the current statute is that number 6, allowing for a payment management system. I don't know that we have to separate small or charitable or nonprofit. We don't have to separate what the fees are or what the levels of registration are, that sort of thing, at least in my view. I think what we're really trying to do here is to allow them to have a third way of completing these raffles. And then again, there was only that caveat of using a debit card, credit card in you know, an internal type way of buying a raffle ticket, all that sort of thing. So.
Thank you, Director. I'll go to Sam, and then I will recognize, let's see, Mr. James Bennett, who had his hand up and probably has also something to add to our conversation to make sure that whatever the committee does, we're going to meet the intent of the purpose of the bill. Sam.
Thank you, Senator Hickman. I just wanted to mention to the committee that just from listening to the conversations that happened today and at the previous work session, it seems like there also may be some like high likelihood for confusion about like when an organization's raffle falls into one category or another and what's required of them. And sometimes in situations like this, the legislature has directed departments to provide like guidance documents upon the issuance of a license to help organizations understand what's required of them and what's kind of inbounds and out of bounds. And I know that's something we've done for parts of for some of the bills for the marijuana program. And that's something you just might keep in mind or consider here if it's desirable. So.
Thank you. Are you understanding what we need to do to create this sort of third way? Since you will certainly be working to draft an amendment, should we vote out these bullet points today?
I am getting there, and I will make sure I'm clear once the committee takes a vote.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Bennett?
Yeah, thank you, Jim Bennett. I'm here representing the Corps of Shriners. Last year I was here to ask for the same assistance, and so what we were looking for is to be able to sell the raffle tickets online. We still want to do the drawings. We still want to do everything. We get our licenses every year from the Gaming Commission. We comply with all that. All those rules are fine. We still would have to apply for the same tickets, the same licenses based on the different events that we have. I don't really think that we need to go and recreate all that. That from our perspective, that works really, really well. Last year, what we thought we ended up being able to accomplish got really complicated by adding in, a full-blown random number generator, all these other things. And I'm a little concerned that we're getting off track where we might end up creating, again, additional hoops that may end up having everybody feel like we're doing the same thing that we did last year, which was solve the ability to have the sale of the ticket online. And then we work ourselves into a place where we didn't do that. So our request is really pretty simple. We understand the law about the credit and the debit cards. We understand all that. We will comply with all that. We're just looking to be able to have, instead of having to go face to face and have somebody sell the raffle tickets or have them come in person to our Festival of Trees, that they would also be able to do that online, and that we would manually draw like we always do. That's kind of our fun, you know, when we all hang around and draw the names out, and everybody that's worked for a couple of weeks on that event, that's a lot of fun for us to do that. And what we're asking for is to be able to do that, and at the same time, just make sure that whatever the regulations that come up with it, that go along with this, beyond what already exists, is necessary and not overburdened. You know, for instance, the requirement to hang on to 3 years worth of these tickets, as opposed to the manual ones, as opposed to maybe hanging on to them for a year and still having the electronic copy of all that, just seems like it's a little bit of an overkill. I mean, for us, because, you know, we want little kids to come in and put little raffle tickets into the trees and experience the joy of walking through an event. We sell our tickets really, really, really cheap, but we have a lot of them. And you can imagine we have a garbage bag full of tickets for every one of the, for every one of the trees. You know, we could have upwards of 200, 300 of these bags of tickets that we'd have to hang on to in order to comply with 3 years. And I'm just wondering, is that really something that's necessary as you think about that? Certainly glad to answer any questions, but I'd ask that you just try to focus on figuring out how to be able to allow us to sell the tickets online.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Director Champion, can you answer the question about how long these raffle tickets need to be kept for the purposes of audit?
Yeah, and I think if you look under that, in that section under B, if you go down, if you actually go down to C, it gives you the option to on how you maintain those. It says maintain raffle ticket stubs retained under paragraph A and B, which is the 3 years cut out, in a manner organized by each individual raffle. So I think that gives you the ability to, if you want, you could do it electronically. You know, there's any way, shape, just so they're separated. And I have no problem if you want to do it annually. I think if anybody's going to complain or have a dispute over a raffle, that they would do it sooner rather than later. But you know, people are strange sometimes, and you know, they could come back like two or 3 years later and say, "Hey, I had a raffle ticket in here. I don't think it was done right. I don't think this, that." You know, so then we have to go in and investigate it. Or I see where you know, we purchased 5 tickets and it was actually my 16-year-old son that purchased them, and you know, that sort of thing. So then we would have to go in and do an audit. So I'm okay with 1 year if that's what the committee wants to go with.
Thank you, Director, for that. I see Sam taking a note on that. We have to decide what we're moving into an amendment to vote on. Mr. Bass, please introduce yourself and tell us what you think about the simplification of creating some type of amendment to statute that allows for these manuals to be hybrid, manual raffles to be hybrid, for lack of a better term.
Sure, thank you. Good morning, Senator Hickman, Representative Chiazza, members of the committee. My name is James Bass, and I'm here on behalf of the Shriners. I think what's really nice is that everyone has dialed in on what we need. We sort of need the current law. The porridge was too cold. Last year, 671, full internet, porridge was too hot. What we're trying to find is that porridge right in the middle. And I think the amendment that Senator Hickman put forward from the Sportsmen's Alliance works. We also submitted an amendment for consideration, and it sort of tweaks a little bit, but it's not a competing version. I mean, I think we're there. We're just sort of figuring out, you know, should we keep for 2 years or 3 years? But the general thrust of what's being discussed, I think, is spot on. And again, Senator Hickman's amendment works. I've got some, if we sort of walk through portions of it, there are 2 seconds that I'd like to talk about. But I think
can you please
we're in a good place.
If you could put the amendment on the screen so that Mr. Bass can talk about the 2 playthroughs that he'd like to, so we can all see it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. And I just want to be clear, Senator Hickman, was this the version that was proposed by you or the one that came from the Shriners?
I think Mr. Bass, if I'm not mistaken, wants to look at the amendment that I presented. And I know that there's an emergency preamble on the amendment that he presented on behalf of the Shriners, which I'm certainly willing to incorporate into whatever we decide to vote out. But it sounds like Mr. Bass wants to just talk about 2 points here. So Whenever you want to direct Sam to scroll, you may do so, Mr. Bass.
All right, thank you, Senator. Sam, can you go to page 3, the top of page 3, which is section 5, operation. All right. So 5A, we were talking about keeping a hold of the physical copy of the receipt for 3 years. My suggestion for the committee was, since we are doing this hybrid approach and we would be selling tickets online, 3 years of physical copies of the purchase may be tough. If we could do 3 years of keeping electronic records of those electronic sales, may make sense. And then right below on 5B, retain for, again, a period of 3 years, the physical copy of the raffle stub. That's sort of like the printout of the online sale, maybe keeping that for a year. I think may make sense. Certainly want to get Director Champion's buy-in on that, but we wanted to provide enough regulatory oversight for the department to make sure that these games were above board.
Great. It sounds like the department is willing for the legislature to make the decision on this policy. And I think that 3 years for the internet receipt and 1 year for the physical copy just makes sense. But Director Champion, if you want to weigh in on that, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say that with this caveat, there has to be a physical ticket put into a container. So even though you've electronically made the purchase electronically, they have to go one step further and actually write out a physical ticket with the name, address, phone number, or whatever information they need, and put it into a container. And then out of all those tickets, they pull the winner and notify the winner, right? So there is physical tickets that will have to be maintained. Again, the only change I would make here is to say, is to suggest a 1 year rather than 3.
Okay, great, thank you. And Sam, are you clear about what Director just said when drafting the final amendment to make sure that there is that requirement under this hybrid model?
Thank you, Senator Hickman. I believe I am, and maybe I should just restate it just to make what I understand to be true, just to make sure everyone's clear. So I think that the distinction is because the model that's being proposed is to allow basically a organization that's holding an physical or like a manual raffle to allow the purchase of tickets online, is that they're still going to have a physical ticket that's associated with that purchase that's being drawn out of a container. And therefore they're going to have to retain those tickets. That's correct. Okay.
Yes, and I think there is a provision in language in the version of the amendment presented by the department that we looked at last work session that makes that clear too. So I think we're going to be doing what we call a merge and meld of the bill, the amendment, and the amendment. With that, Representative Chiazzo, did you still have a question or a motion or a concern? Your hand was up. I didn't mean to ignore it. I just knew that we were in a discussion, so I wanted to let that complete before I got to you.
No, I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. I'm just trying to narrow us down for the sake of efficiency, but I'm following the lead.
Great. So anyone else have any questions or concerns? It seems like we're ready for a motion because it's clear what the stakeholders need, and then we can work out the details of all of the language with Sam and language review. So is anyone willing to make a motion at this time? Chair recognizes Senator Farron. You are on mute, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that button. Like I said, most people like it when there's a mute button on me. So I've been tracking this, and I went from thinking I knew exactly what we were doing to thinking that I had no clue and wasn't paying attention to the conversation to clearing back up again. And I want to thank all the participants that put work into this. And I still going to pay attention to the language review, come back. We got a lot of faith in Sam, and he does a phenomenal job for us. But with that being said, I would make a motion of ought to pass as amended on LD 1980, right?
And Sam, are you clear on the amendment?
I believe so. I think it might make sense if I walk through my understanding. Okay, so my understanding of what's trying to be achieved here is that you're trying to allow a normal raffle to accept basically the purchase of tickets to participate in that raffle online, and that's going to involve like a payment management system and the kind of operational requirements as that were put forth in these amendments. And in particular, you're looking at keeping a record of the electronic sales for 3 years and for keeping an online printout of those records for 1 year, and also maintaining the physical tickets associated with those sales for 3 years. Is that correct? And I know that you'll want to iron out the details probably at language review, because we have, I think at this point, 4 amendments that are kind of being incorporated into this one. Oh, and also that the purchases need to be made in state with some sort of geolocation or verification that the person purchasing online is actually in the state when they're making the purchase. Is that?
And do we want to include provision that a member of an organization can also participate in their membership so long as they are in a state where the internet raffle is allowed? I think that may have gotten lost, but I remember it from early in the conversation. We should put that in there. And the emergency should be a part of the amendment, Senator Farron, if you don't mind making this an emergency.
Yeah, please add that preamble to it, please.
Thank you. And Ellen Parent?
I just wanted to, because I hadn't heard it, mention the provision about the internal transfer. Obviously, it's up to you, but just didn't want it to get forgotten.
Yeah. And it's in one of the amendments or both of the amendments that we have. And so that provision will be included. We are allowing for debit cards to be a part of how people can purchase. And we're not using the term credit card. And is there a reason for that, Director Champion? Director?
Yes. No, and we saw the printout that Sam presented to the committee at the last time, basically given the state laws from other states. Some states allow credit cards. I'm not real warm and fuzzy allowing it, but that's entirely up to, that's just my opinion. But in 6A, right now we have may permit the use of a debit card or system used to accept membership dues. Sam, you might want to be able to put in there, or system used to accept membership dues from members out of state, and that should take care of that. And then it's also stated, comma, or a request for an internal transfer of funds, which I think that's where Ms. Parent was responding to.
Great. That is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Representative Supika, moved by Senator Farron. Is there any discussion on the motion? Chair recognizes Representative Crichton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was quite a process. I think we got there. I am not suggesting this as a motion because I don't think it would go, but just a plea, just personally to Mr. Trahan. I asked a lot about firearms. I would certainly ask, we're talking about not automatic, but the others, that's just me. I don't know that anybody would join me in that. So I just thought while we're all here, I would say that. Thanks.
Mr. Trahan, would you like to respond?
Sure. The amendment that I provided you had a provision in it that required any of these raffles to conduct a background check. That's actually fairly new. I believe anyone selling a firearm, especially raffling firearms. This actually cleans it up and makes it so that all of these organizations that participate must conduct that federal background check. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit better, but it's now in statute. And when fish and game clubs, which I partner with, say 70 of them, call, and they are going to be calling to understand how to play by the rules, I'm going to say, as a member of our network, you have to have a background check, and we can conduct that for you. Otherwise, you need to make arrangements with a local FFL dealer to do that. So this actually makes it better if you're concerned about that.
No, I appreciate that. And it definitely does. And as Representative Corey's not here, but he pointed out rightly that we're talking about legal weapons.
Yes.
So that was just my.
Yep, I got you.
Bias.
And I appreciate and respect your concern.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Farron.
I think this is just a question for Sam, that, and maybe we get through that piece, is there, for the person that's participating, the purchaser of the raffle, and that certification that they're either in Maine or they're in a state that allows a raffle, is there a way that we put that onus on the purchaser instead of on the organization? Because I think for some of these smaller ones, that might be a little bit of a burden, for them to make that qualification.
I don't know if anyone has an answer to that question, but the way I listen to it, that would be the policy in the law. How it would be enforced, I don't know. Maybe through the geolocation, but I'll let Director Champion and Sam respond.
Okay, thank you.
First. Sam, you go first, and your eyes went up first.
Thank you. My understanding of the law is that the crime prohibiting this is about the organization conducting the raffle, not the individual person. So, I mean, I guess you could put a prohibition in the law on the person from purchasing it in a state where it's not legal, where the raffle's not legal, but that's not it's not going to get around the issue, I guess, of the organization violating federal law if that person goes ahead and makes the purchase anyways. Does that make sense?
Director Champion.
Yeah, and I mean, by all means, I'm not an attorney, but I think it would fall under that state's law if it's illegal and they purchase it. The only part I wanted to reply on here is that understand that the payment management systems, i.e. PayPal, the Square, whatever they use, whatever platforms they use, these platforms are not being licensed, right? So we cannot hold. We can say through the approval process that we'll look at it and they'll verify that they have geolocation. They can verify that the person's over 18, all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, without licensing these individuals like we do with the full internet operators, and that's the real reason for it, is that we cannot hold them accountable. So the onus is going to be on the organization, and that's why there was an addition of number 7, which says a license holder that fails to comply with subsection 5, paragraph D, even though that talks specifically about holding on to the tickets and all that sort of thing. Unfortunately, that's the only persons that we can hold responsible without licensing someone. At least that's my understanding.
Chair recognizes Representative Kinney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had concerns around this when it came to, I don't know, either telehealth or some of the other things around marijuana. And I don't know if we can incorporate some of that language as far as if someone falsifies their information and if the organization figures out that someone has falsified their information, saying they're over 18, or in the case of if they were going to be, I believe you have to be 21 when it comes to a firearm. So you'd have, at least with a handgun, and a lot of raffles are around that in that kind of arena, if there's falsified information and the organization figures it out and refunds, or is it to go after at that point, rather than going after the organization, they figured it out. Is there something that can be done to protect the organization? I think that might be where we're trying to go with wondering if that's possible.
Director Champion.
Yeah, and I apologize. There is a cutout in number 6. It is D, where it says must provide for immediate refund of any payment to purchase a chance or a ticket for a raffle made by a person whom the organization or internet raffle operator discovers is under 18 years of age. So it gives the opportunity that if it's identified that the payment management system or the licensed internet operator identify that a ticket was sold to someone under 18, they have the ability to immediately refund. So they don't have to go through the whole, complaint process and all that sort of thing. So it has that caveat to cut that out for the underage, but there's not one for geolocation.
Representative Kenny, does that answer your question or concern?
I think so. I had seen that in there and I wondered if that would help protect the organization, because I don't want to see an organization get hit with fines over and above what they're paying to be able to have these raffles, which are supposed to be used to fundraise. So I do appreciate that is in there.
Great. And remember, we don't get to legislate enforcement. Enforcement is from the regulator. The chair recognizes Representative McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to see if Senator Jackson wanted to give his seal of approval. I don't know if he's available. And if he's not, that's fine. If he is, if he wants to not.
I am promoting him at this moment.
Thank you, Representative McCray, members of the committee. You guys have done an amazing job working this bill. So I think what you've done is awesome. I'm just gonna let it go with that.
Chair recognizes Senator Farron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And even though the Senate President has turned his camera off, I just want to make a note that, made the motion to move this bill forward.
Are there any other questions, concerns?
I did see that, Senator.
About the motion that Senator Farron has made on President Jackson's bill ought to pass as amended, seconded by Representative Topeka. Is the committee ready for the question? Darlene, please call the roll.
Senator Hickman?
Yay.
Senator Marmont?
Yes.
Senator Farron?
Yes.
Representative Chiazza?
Yes.
Representative McCray?
Yes.
Representative Briley?
Yes.
Representative Supika?
Yes.
Representative Wood?
Yes.
Representative Kinney?
Yes.
Representative Harrington is absent. Representative Corey is absent. And Representative Dolph? You need to turn your mic on.
Sorry. Yes.
10 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
10 members voting in the affirmative, none in the negative, 2 members absent. The motion prevails. Sam?
Thanks, Senator Hickman. I think this was implicit in the vote, but I just want to make sure I'm 100% clear in asking that it's okay that I work with whoever I need to make sure this amendment comes out correct. And I just also wanted to state that I think because of the nature of this, and we're working with, multiple amendments that we're kind of bringing into one thing, I will make sure to walk the committee through point by point on each aspect that gets included. And that way it's clear to you at language review, if there's things that I end up in there that you didn't want, or things that I missed, where they are, and you could just remove them or add them.
Thank you. It's a puzzle. We're going to piece it all together and make it work. With that, I will close the work session on LD 1980. Thank you all very much. 10 minutes after 10, not quite what I wanted, but we're almost there. Welcome, Janet.
Hello.
Well, Chairman Chiazzo, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Great. I may have to disappear to my other committee, so I'll let you know if that happens and turn the floor over to you. Thank you. Janet, welcome.
Hello. I just wanted to show you the budget report back memo. It was emailed out to you all, but I could screen share it if you want. I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay with what it says. There is the piece where of the people who were present on Monday, it was a unanimous vote in favor of the Secretary of State's proposal, which the vote was listed as in favor of the fiscal note to LD 1155. I wrote it slightly differently. I said you were in favor of adding 1155 as amended, the actual language as well to the budget. And then the Secretary of State's office sent along their blurb of how the fiscal piece would work, and they slightly changed it from 1155 to not just be auditing staff that would be added to the Secretary of State's department, but that they would be involved in an election audit and training unit based on the testimony that was not presented to you, but was presented to the State and Local Government Committee from the Maine Town and City Clerks Association, that they would like some more training, as a lot of folks move on from being municipal clerks and new ones are being hired and would need some more training assistance. So I'm happy to go through it and share. I know that the chairs maybe wanted to see if other people wanted to weigh in on the budget who couldn't be there, but I'll defer to you on that.
Thank you, Janet. The chair recognizes Representative Kinney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do apologize for not being here on Monday. I was at a trade show and I kept trying to get on, but we were just really busy, which is always a good thing. First time in 3 years that we've been in person for this show. I want to thank Janet for making note of who was present in the letter, because especially on 1155, because that the Appropriations Committee can certainly look back and notice that it was a divided report, and realize that there's possible opposition if we don't turn around and take another vote today. But I just wanted to thank Janet for making note of that information.
The chair has no objection to anyone registering a vote. It's a report back. So if we want to have a complete picture of our report back, Janet, if you could just put up on the screen what we have done, and anyone who wasn't present but is here today can add a note about where they stand on any provision of the budget report back. Okay? How's that sound? If there are no objections, that's what we'll do. Seeing no objections.
So there are two types of votes that were taken. There were the votes on the actual initiatives in the budget. So we could go through those. I don't know. I did send those out separately as well. If anyone wanted to either add themselves in or add themselves in either for or against adding all of those provisions in the budget, they were all unanimous in of the folks present. I didn't know if that was anything somebody wanted to add to. Then there were also the separate new initiatives, which I thought might be more likely to have divided votes, just because they are, especially as Representative Kinney said, I did know that the underlying vote on 1155 was not unanimous. So I suspected there might be folks who wanted to weigh in on the other side. So I don't know. Senator Hickman, do you want me to go through each one on both sides, or just sort of focus on?
I actually don't want you to go through each one.
Thank
you. I want people who were not here to let us know right now if you would like to be recorded in any of these votes, and if so, point out which ones, and that's what we'll do. We did all receive this. We don't need to, I don't want to have another budget work session, but if you want to weigh in on anything, you can let us know now, or you can send a note and CC the chairs before the report out to Janet directly, so that it's very clear what you're weighing in on. We don't have to go through it on the screen. I just want to make it available. Anyone who was not here can register a vote in an email to Janet before she reports this back to the committee. If there's no objection to that, that's the way it will go. Chair recognizes Janet Chiazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No objections certainly on my part. Maybe Janet could tell us when she's planning on reporting out, so that will,
yes.
If people want to record theirs, they know when we plan on moving that through.
Right.
So the report is due Monday, so I would prefer to know by 5 p.m. today. I guess it could be as late as noon Monday. This is one weekend I do need to take off, so
Great.
it's a family thing I need to take care of.
Yes. So by 5 o'clock today, anyone who would like to record a vote, do so via email and make it very clear what you're voting on. And we will get the report back. You don't have to actually CC anyone. Just tell Janet how you would like to be recorded on the vote sheet. And when she finalizes it, we'll all see it. And that's what our report back to the AFA committee will be on Monday. Does that sound good with people?
It's easier if you want to weigh in on a vote on one of the regular lines in the budget, just refer to the reference number. There's a little REF and then a number. That will make it really clear that we're both talking about the same thing. Don't like which page was it on A and which page was it on here, like that all gets confusing. So if you just refer to the reference number, I think we'll all be sure we're talking about the same vote. And then obviously the Ethics Commission and Secretary of State, those are easy to describe, the initiatives that were added. So I think that should be easy enough for me to follow.
Perfect. I love solutions. That sounds like a great one. I see no objections to that. So that's what anyone who wants to record a vote will do. Do we have anything else? Any language reviews? We didn't advertise any, but that doesn't mean they're done ready. I just thought I'd ask.
My inbox does not have them. I will say there was a lot of difficulty for the other two offices that they've been fighting this week. In addition to the State House, I heard that the fiscal note program was not responding correctly. Its initials are apparently FNBS, which might have been appropriate this week. So hopefully it is now working properly and we'll get a lot of that before you. Yeah. I can't believe I just said that on YouTube.
It's what it was. You just gave us a fact. It's all good. Well, if anyone has nothing else to say, the chair recognizes Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just trying to check in what we think our schedule is going to be like next week.
Well, it's a great question. We are finished with the work that we have in our possession as of adjournment today. We know that there's a committee bill that will be at some point sent to reference, which will be reported back to this committee. We can't schedule it until we have it in our possession, so I don't even want to look out. We have confirmation hearings that are going to be scheduled. And so everything is right in limbo. We're finished with our work, but our weekly schedule will say TBD, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until it's no more. So I can't give you anything other than the fact that we are finished 100% voting out the bills that we have had in our possession. Our report back is ready to go. And now it's up to when we schedule confirmation hearings and then the public hearing and work session on the report, the committee bill. Chair recognizes Representative Chiazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just add, we probably want to keep Mondays reserved. If we're going into Tuesday, Thursday session, we probably want to, get as much stuff through and report it out as we can at the beginning of the week. So everything's still TBD, according to, agree with the Senator 100%. But if we could maybe coalesce around using Mondays, kind of holding that day down. So when we have language reviews, we can, staff can hopefully get it out. Might not make the docket for Tuesday, but certainly if we're doing Thursday session as well, we could hopefully hit that Thursday session as well. So just my 2 cents.
Janet?
I just wanted to say that depending on when the bill gets referenced and printed and all of those sorts of things for a public hearing work session, that probably Sam and I will hold language review to that day because that's when you'll be here anyway. And you may want to do it by email after that. You can maybe talk to each other and see if that's okay with everybody. And then we can implement that process because I don't think you can have the confirmation until the very end of March or beginning of April based on all the deadlines. So I don't know that you want to wait till then. And I don't know that you want to come in just for language review. I'm happy to see you all. It's up to you.
Yeah, we will be doing lots of language review by email, which is what we do every session when we get to this point. So that will be nothing new for those of us who've been here and something new for those of us who haven't, but we'll adapt. Chair recognizes Representative Wood.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. The bill that we're referring to now is Representative Riley's bill. Is that correct?
It's a committee bill.
Yeah.
Based upon a resolve that Representative Riley wrote. And I believe that means, and Janet will correct me if I'm wrong, is that it will be reported out by the House chair. Is that how that works? Yeah, because it started in the House. It will be reported out by the House chair as a committee bill. So it will be deliberated in the House of Representatives first.
Thank you. And Representative Chiazzo, I appreciate you saying for us to hold Mondays, but I just want to be clear. This coming Monday, that would not be the case because we're too late to add anything to the agenda.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Janet? Great. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, concerns? I hope everyone, Darlene?
Well, as far as the confirmation hearing goes, we need to have a definite answer to Casey before noon today, if we're going to do it on the 30th.
Casey and I have already worked that out, Darlene.
You've answered her back on the emails?
Yeah, we're just waiting to see if the person who's being nominated is available.
She is.
The first opportunity, and that will be scheduled by Casey, and we'll let everyone know when that happens.
Okay, well, hold on, because there's been emails going back and forth. She is available. Casey was able to get a hold of her. And then we need to decide if we're doing hybrid or not before she advertises.
We're not doing hybrid.
That's all I need to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I think it's March 30th.
Yes.
So.
And do we want to do it at 9 a.m.? That was our next question.
Oh, the earliest in the day, the better. I like to be, yeah.
All right.
So there we go. Now we know March 30th, 9 o'clock, we will have a confirmation hearing.
That was a sneak. That was a sneak peek.
Thank you, Darlene. She just like, what?
That was what?
No. Senator Hickman, listen, I've worked with Darlene for a number of years on transportation. She keeps us on our toes on the schedule, and this is my plan, and I like it. It's good.
Right here. I said as soon as we can get it, as soon as it's ready, let's go. So it's 9 o'clock on March 30th. We can put it on our calendars, and we'll be ready for it. Great.
All right. Very good.
Oh, and one last thing. You all will get an email about March 29th. It's in Capitol Park to honor our Vietnam veterans. And so we don't have committee that day. We have session. Obviously, hopefully we'll be finished by then. I think that the presiding officers will get a nudge on that to make sure that we're finished by 1 o'clock on that day so that we can all as a committee go and honor and celebrate and hopefully have a new bill signed from the committee on the day as well. So with that, everyone have a great weekend. Joint Standing Committee on Vendors and Legal Affairs stands adjourned.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.